So now we're looking at problem 2.2C from Thinking with Math Models. And in this case, we've been looking at car washes that charge a certain amount per minute and figuring out equations. And in this case, all we have is two receipts giving us the amount of time and the charge for each of the visits. So here's time, start time, end time, and the charge, which is all we need when we're trying to find equations. So each receipt in this case represents a point, time, and charge on the line. And so the coordinates really of these 2 points are important to us because you need coordinates and points to find lines. So the first one, if we think about the time, 1:55 to 2:05 is 10 minutes. So that's our time. And the charge is $7. So 10 minutes cost you $7. That's a point on a graph. We could literally graph that on graph paper and see that there's a point. If we look at the next one, it looks like 20 minutes, 9:30 to 9:50. So that's our time. Costs $12. So again, here's a point on a coordinate grid, 20 and 12, and 10 and 7 are points on a graph, and we could literally graph those 2 points and draw the line. But we don't really need to do that. We found the coordinates of the 2 points, but now we can actually just take these 2 points and use them to find the slope and the y-intercept of the line we're looking for, because anytime you're trying to find slope, you're trying to find the change in y, which in this case is 7 to 12. If I go from 7 to 12, if you think about going up on your graph from 7 to 12, that's a change of 5 up, compared to the change in the x values. If I go from 10 to 20, that's a change of plus 10. And so again, if I think about what slope is the change in y compared to the change in x. So that's what slope, and in our equation we say that's the m. And so in this case, if I just look at what I have, the change in y, the change in the y values is 5, and the change in the x values is 10. So what that means is that 5 over 10 is a fraction that can be reduced to 1/2. And again, this part, the 10 is time, and the 7 is charge. The 20 is time, and the y is the charge. So this is the charge, and this is the time. So we have charge over time. So it's like $1 for every 2 minutes is what that means. When we look at that, that's $1 for every 2 minutes of time. You can see that here in this. We go 20 minutes, so $1 for every 2 minutes, and that's really helpful because now we know the slope. It's, in a sense, it's 50 cents a minute. So we could even reduce it to that. We could say it's $0.50, and that's a basic rate. It's 50 cents per minute, or $0.50 per minute, or $1 for every 2 minutes, which again you can reduce that to $0.50 per minute. So we get a unit rate. So we can use that in our equation. Y equals the slope times x plus the y-intercept. Now this is the part that may not be as obvious, but if you look at either of these points, if I take half of 10, 10 times, that's our x, half of 10 is 5. To get 7, I'm going to have to add 2. I could think of the same thing over here. Half of 20 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So that was the other part, what we consider the y-intercept. In other words, if we went back to where the time is 0, see, this was 20, this was 10. If we went back to where the time was 0, the charge, it looks like, would be Since that went up 5, if we go down 5, 0, 5 would be the y-intercept. So sometimes you can just work backwards and see that it's the same. It goes down 5, excuse me, that's a 2. And that's what we wanted, was the y-intercept on that. As it goes down 5 from there. That goes down 5, this goes down 5 to the 2. From 12 to 7 is down 5, from 7 to 2 is down 5. That's the change in 5 in our y-intercept. So there's the y-intercept. So now we have the equation. It's 50 cents a minute, half $1 per minute for the car wash, plus a $2 charge up front. And so I'm going to rewrite that in this form. Cost equals 0.50 times the time plus 2. And dollar charge, 50 cents per minute. That's your cost per minute. And then your overall charge for the car wash. So all of that from the equation, from finding the slope, charge equals 50 cents per minute. That's your half x, or 0.50 times t, plus the $2 a minute for the car wash. Now, there's some additional questions, D, E, and F, that I'm not going to answer in this video. They're just practice for if we know this slope and this point, can we find an equation? And I will deal with those kinds of questions in other videos. Some of the practice problems deal with how to answer those questions as well in other videos, so you can find answers to how to solve those problems in others. But this is the majority of problem 2.2 and should get you through most of the work.